Come here then. Come here. Come here. Stand still. Stand still. Oh, good boy. Come on then. Okay, welcome to the 5th of January 2026. As you can see, we've had a little bit of snow. It started yesterday around 4 or 5 o'clock. A couple of little snow showers, and then we had a couple more later on. But this morning we woke up to this. All the schools are closed today by the looks of it. Probably had about 3, maybe 4 centimetres. The thing is, here with the snow we get in Great Britain, tends to be very wet, very sludgy, and it goes as quick as it comes, unfortunately, which is a shame. I mean, I do like the snow, well, at least for the first hour. I know Pagan loves it. He's been dancing around in the back garden doing zoomies. Yes, like I say, he's been running around the back garden doing zoomies and God knows what he's doing. Trying to bite the snow when it was dropping last night. I always like the snow because it's like nice, crisp and clean. Come on, you. Morning. You alright? Yeah. All excited, bloody zooming it. Yeah. Come on, good boy. So yeah, been up and I always like the snow. Especially when we get a fresh coat in. I know it's a pain for people to try and get to work and other stuff. But I always think it's sort of, it always looks nice and fresh, and I suppose it's somewhat different really, isn't it? You know, we're not used to any long lasting snow in the UK. You know, except in places up north in Scotland and stuff, and Wales. In fact, just up the road from me we've got Leek, Buxton, and they normally get it right really bad. You know, roads are blocked and everything else. But I remember as a kid it used to be different them days. It used to snow and it used to stick for a good week or so. I think in the last 15 years or so we've only had we had the east from the beast from the east, should I say. And that stayed for quite a while. And that's quite bad in some areas. And snow after that just wouldn't shift. It actually took another snowfall towards the end of it to get rid of the other snow, if that makes sense. But I say, it's nice, it's a change, it's something different. I think that's the main thing, it's just something different, really. It's just different to look at and different to feel. But I was thinking it's always good for the first, half a day or so. It's different and everything happens. But then, it does start becoming a bit of a pain, really. It doesn't stay crispy, it turns more to slush or solid ice where it's been compressed. And it just makes life, difficult. Especially for some people who need to get out and about. Come here, Pagan. It does make life a lot harder. I just think it's a shame. It doesn't actually snow over Christmas itself. I think that's always nice. But yeah, we're into 2026. 4 days, well, it's the 5th day today into it, and a lot has happened. In Iran, there's a revolution, a civil war kicking off, and they're actually removing the Islamic State. And the dictator, Khamenei, today it's come out that he's got an escape plan to get to Moscow. It does make you wonder what's going on there, though. And there's been hardly any fight back from the Islamic State to the protesters. And yes, unfortunately, there has been some backlash, and unfortunately people have been killed as a result of it. But it's emerged today that actually, the Iranians themselves have now got themselves armed, which is big, and they can put up a fair fight. Sorry if the sun gets in the lens. But I know Israel and the US are on standby, to go in if they're needed, but again, I think it's one of those things, as little they can actually do, they've got to let the people get on with it, because they know the only way they can get involved with it is really with airstrikes, and that's mainly Israel, although the IDF could go in and help them. You still got to remember, really, in the grand scheme of things, Israel's only a small country and it does well, punches well above its weight, and they're far more professional in terms of the military. I've got a lot of respect for the IDF, and also I think it's a case that really they need to let them topple the regime, and it's not far off it now. And the Iranian army hasn't been seen It's just been the IRGC or whatever it's called, on the streets, which are like police. They haven't had any support from the military. It makes you wonder what is going on. And the speculation is that they are being kept back for a potential conflict with the US and the Israelis. At the same time, we've seen everything going off in Venezuela, where Trump basically sent in Delta Force. They took the president. He's now in New York, awaiting trial. Cuba and all that are kicking off about it. And of course you've got the typical lefties coming out. They shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do this, it's against international law. You know, but it's nice to see a bit of a fight back started, you know, against communist Islamic regimes. You know, I think it is needed. So one part of me, although I don't want people to be hurt or die, is that this looks like a bit of a better start to 2026 with some of these ideologies being rooted out. And being destroyed from within. You know, I think the majority of people are sick of it. They're sick of fighting. But of course you've got these left-wingers which have to make a big deal about it. Have these so-called emergency protests. You know, and you cannot understand the mentality of them at all. You know, people in Venezuela, they're celebrating. They've got rid of a communist dictator, a drug lord. You know, and they've been persecuted for a long time. And they've got rid of him. Go on, Pagan, goodbye. And now we've got people, you know, in the US, in the UK, who are saying that's wrong. You'll think, well, we've got the bombing of Syria, where UK has been used. It's another place that is got to be sorted out. But it all seems absolutely mad. You know, it's going from one thing to another. You know, you can't help but sort of ask yourself, go on, Pagan. You know, are we on the brink of world war? Because it seems like any country is, come on, Pagan, is now at conflict with somebody else. And then you got people like our government, you know, they recognise terrorist states like Palestine, you know, which doesn't really exist. And people coming out saying ludicrous things like, Big Ben, the clock belongs to us. You know, there's just so many delusional people around. You know, it is like a disease, a mental disease, which is spreading. You try and tell people the facts, and they don't want to know. Come on. You know, if they've got their own narrative and it's set, that's it. There's no compromise, there's no talking to them. And it just seems to be an ideology which I call more of a mental disease, which is spreading. You know, I've got to ask myself, although this is complete conspiracy theory, but conspiracy theories have a knack of becoming true after a while. You know, what did happen during the lockdown? You know, all these vaccinations, which, you know, a lot of truth is coming out about them now. We have all these, you know, did those vaccinations do something to people? You know, shut part of the brain down, which is logical reasoning and stuff like that. You know, you've got to ask this question. But, okay, I'm going to leave it there then. I'll get this video up. And I'm going to wish you all a happy new year, even though we're 5 days in, a lot going on. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye.